Hello, I'm Renee, the Practical Shaman, wishing you a wonderful holy day time.
Hi, I'm Sandra Ingerman, and I welcome you to the Shaman's Cave.
I wanted to start with a request. So I think we're heading into season 4 soon. I can't even really believe it that we've been sitting here for 3 years. But our goal, we have a personal goal for 2021 was to have 10,000 followers, and we are right there. We just need you right now to hit the subscribe button, and we're going to be over the top, and then you won't have to listen to us or me, because I'm more of the pusher in the crowd for this for another while. So until we want to hit 20,000, I won't bug you, but hit subscribe, and we have a great topic for you today that Sandra's going to tell you about.
And I just want to say, and this is something I'm trying to explain to people, that a lot of the fear about pushing subscribe is that all of a sudden you're going to start getting emails you don't want and spam and all of that. Nothing happens when you push subscribe. Absolutely nothing. Just YouTube thinks we have more people listening. And what that does, and the reason that we're trying to get to 10,000 followers, is that YouTube starts to help Renee and me. YouTube starts to reach out and say, it looks like you have a successful show and we would like to help you. Mm-hmm. And so it's just really easy. By pushing that subscribe button, YouTube all of a sudden thinks that, oh, all these people are listening, and you don't have to listen. So we're just asking you that this is a way that you can return to us. All the work that we're putting in, Renee puts in an amazing amount of work on the technical side. We both put in an amazing amount of work trying to create a relevant show for you and to help you through these challenging times. I know I need help through these challenging times, and so we're all in this together. And so it's just an ask that we have. But we are moving to the time of the holidays, and because we're living in such intense times right now, what's happening is people are turning to more and more spiritual work. They're trying to keep their sanity. A lot of you might be feeling on the edge right now. And spiritual work is a way that's being advertised right now. Everywhere you look, a shamanic workshop to calm down, a breathing workshop to calm down, some magic to calm down. Everybody's looking for the magic to calm down right now. And actually, calming down is not the point of these times. The point of these times is to learn how to let go, accept, and understand that loss is part of life. But because spiritual work is so popular right now, people are writing to me quite a bit because they're nervous about talking to their families. They're nervous about talking to their communities. They're nervous about talking to their coworkers because are they going to seem crazy? And this is my opinion. This is just my opinion. Shamanism was never meant to be mainstream. It was never meant to be mainstream. It was always something that was meant to be done in small communities and not have the fanfare that it has right now. My husband had the opportunity to live with the East Indian master, Krishnamurti, for years in England, and he taught at his school. And Krishnamurti used to say that when a spiritual practice becomes too popular, it becomes vulgar. And unfortunately, we can see a little of that happening with shamanism right now. We're not seeing the miracles. We're not seeing what we saw when shamanism didn't have the popularity. When people came because of a real draw to the work, more to what is being advertised out there. And so it's really tricky when you start talking to your family, because the reason shamanism was never meant to be mainstream is because to practice shamanism, you have to believe in spirits. You have to believe in spirits. That's what shamanism is about. If you're not working with spirits, you're not practicing shamanism. So how do you start to talk to your family that you're talking to spirits? How do you go home for the holidays and say, I'm talking to spirits now? You don't. You don't. So little things that I've done. Meditation has become mainstream, and meditation has its issues. There's a lot of talk in the meditation community. The old teachers, like I'm an old teacher of shamanism, 40 years, were these old grouches that just complain about, how the work is being shared now and the power is being lost to the work. But meditation, people know when meditation is accepted. And so when I used to book retreat centers that I didn't feel would embrace shamanism, I would say that I was bringing a group who worked with meditative practices, but we used drumming and rattling and music to as a tool for our meditation practices. And that is something that goes over really well. So it's just one suggestion. What about you, Renee? Do you have an opinion on this topic?
I just was thinking, I was at Thanksgiving dinner, and there was a small dinner, and this woman followed me, like she gets my emails. And so, she was like trying to draw it out from me all during dinner. So you're a shaman, huh? And I'm then like, I'm at Thanksgiving dinner. She kind of got wondering why I wasn't owning something that, that maybe she thought that I should be owning more. And I'm thinking like, well, my deal is when spirit gives me an assignment to do, I take care of it, type of thing. But it's not like a badge that I wear on my walking jacket when I walk through the neighborhood, because it's not relevant. It's like we all have our special gifts. If you know what your special gifts are, and when you're called into action to do them. I would make it like when I came out as a lesbian when I was 20. Now we're going back a long time ago. My father turned white as a ghost, nearly had his first stroke. And I thought, well, what was my reasoning for sharing this with you? Was I trying to fluff up myself, or was I, trying to get even with him? I couldn't really imagine. So I always ask myself, is it appropriate? And why would I be sharing that at a dinner table? Period. So that's kind of my take on it, is like, when I get called into service, I get called into service, and it's not always it's usually not a public display of something that I'm called to do.
Yeah, I've been with my husband now for, God, I think he's better at dates than I am, but I think we're going on 25 years. And one of his roles early on was, if we were at a party, we rarely go to parties. I'm a very shy person, and so parties are not something I usually go to. But when we went to parties, and if people said to me, "What is shamanism? I've heard your name," it was my husband's role to talk about it, because it gets tiring. It gets tiring. If somebody's interested, of course, I want to bring them in. But if somebody is just trying to make conversation, or this is my work, I was on the road 300 days a year. When I went to a party, did I want to talk about my work? or did I want to talk about the weather? Those are my two conversations. And, what you have to think about is the energy. Right now, people are really worn down, worn down. And what we really need to be looking at is what we need to do for rest. And for rest and to recuperate and to regenerate our energies during these challenging times, what are the conversations you would like to have with your family right now? And maybe they're interested in shamanism. I know some of my family is, and some of my family actually watches this show. Some of my family actually uses the word interesting, which is always a red flag. And, it's a way to reconnect, because we're all looking for a way to reconnect right now. We really disconnected at a trauma, from the web of life to ourselves to so many things. And so we're looking for ways to reconnect. What gives you the energy to reconnect with your family, your loved ones, and your friends? What are the conversations you want to be having versus pushing things? We can see in the world what's happening right now between the vaxxers and the anti-vaxxers, what pushing does, the division that pushing causes. So how do we create conversations with our loved ones that help us all reconnect and love versus disconnect us and make us feel strange and wish that we never brought up the conversation because we feel that our sanity is actually being put into question? And that's a fear. I cannot tell you how many people write to me afraid that their sanity is going to be questioned if they share with their family that they work with spirits.
Well, that's kind of sad that people live in that kind of fear. I've just, have never known that kind of fear. One of the things that we do in the Wind Clan is whenever I start a class, I take everybody off of mute and we all start with a laugh. And it's a belly laugh. And then, when one laugh begets the other laugh. And so by the end of it, everyone's really laughing. And it's like this really great practice. So one of the tools that I use in my work is laughter. I think that laughter is a great doorway in. And I would much rather be at a dinner party. I think that same Thanksgiving dinner, we got onto some subjects and we laughed so hard that it was like 5 hours later. And I mean, I don't usually, I sit at a table for 30 minutes at the most to eat, but we're still sitting there laughing. And I think that laughter this holiday season would go so much further than any serious conversation about, how you're solving, the underground, via the underground, some of the bigger world problems, because, it's enlightenment and lighten. We forgot about the lightening up part where we took it so serious that we were going to spend 30 years learning how to enlighten ourselves. So my suggestion is lighten up.
Yeah, lightening up is always a good thing. And talking to your family about things that are in your heart. Again, there's nothing wrong with saying that you've turned to spirituality, but it's about using the words that will help your family open their hearts to you and say, wow, I'm really impressed that you're taking care of yourself in this way. Instead of you're doing what? You're talking to what? How long has this been going on? And I know I shared on another show, we actually brought this topic up once on another show a year or two ago. And I remember telling my mother that my deceased uncle came to me in a dream. And my mother said to me, "Do you speak to dead people often?" I made the mistake. This was over 30 years ago. This was in the 1980s. And my mother ended up loving shamanism and journeying to the day she died. But in the 80s, she said to me, do you talk to dead people often? And I thought she was interested in my work. And I said, yes. And the next thing I know, my brother's calling and saying that my parents were coming out to put me in a mental institution. But like I said, things change, and you never know what your family will grow into. My mother, at the age of 90, she died at 98 and a half, and the last couple of years of her life, I took care of her the last 4 years of her life. She would say to me, "Can we put on the drumming?" And her power animal would come to her, and she would just put her hands on her heart, and her power animal brought her so much love until the day she died. So you never know when people are going to say, "Please tell me about this work." But if you know, you're intuitive. Everybody listening to this show is intuitive. You know, you can see their eyes change. And if their eyes change, if you start crossing a boundary that's not comfortable for them, when their eyes change your conversation. Say that I'm doing spiritual work that brings me inner peace. And you don't have to go into details about it. So we're giving some of these hints because we're getting a lot of requests. People are contacting me through Messenger. They're writing me letters. They're finding my email address somewhere and dealing with this issue constantly. It's a really big issue for people right now. And so I said to Renee, the holidays are coming up and a lot of people are visiting their families. And I think we really need to talk about this so that you can relax during the holidays, not lie, share your truth, that you're practicing some form of meditation that brings you to a place of centeredness, that brings you to a place of peace. And if you want to share an exercise with your family, a very easy exercise that you can share is the exercise that we've been sharing over time on the Shaman's Cave of helping people and your family members feel their internal light. And what that feels like to them. And I'm happy to help you and give you the words and show you how to do that if you feel that would be helpful to you.
Yeah, that would be great. Let me just, I wanted to piggyback off that. And there are a few times that it is okay to stand in your truth of who you are too. And you'll know those situations. My older sister passed away this year, and my younger sister and I organized a memorial at sea. And over the past 3 years, and I didn't have this conversation with any of my family, but my older sister and I had a lot of conversations about cutting cords, about not living out the karmas of other people, and really that she could come to a place of peace. And on that boat that day, I did a wind whistling. And, what I did was I stood in my truth with it. It was right after my niece wanted to play Aqualung by Jethro Tull, which was like the antithesis of what I was about ready to do. But I noticed that the difference between owning it and shoving it down people's throats are that if anyone wanted to know more information about my wind whistling or what I did, I left that as an open experience that they could come and ask me. And the only person in my family who's even ever really reached out after my book was my uncle. When I was speaking at an addiction conference in Cape Cod, he made a point of coming to hear what I was telling the doctors and the therapists and all of that. And afterwards, he said to me, oh, now I understand what you're trying to say in that book. Like that. It came to a languaging that he could understand about how we've lost our capacity to be in alignment with nature and where that's caused disease, depression, anxiety, and drug addiction. And he said, I can relate to that. So it's not that you have to throw the whole baby out with the bathwater. You have to be in the right circumstance and the right moment of time so that people can be even open to hear. So now, Sandra, I'd love to hear your exercise.
Well, I just want to say that what Renee did with her uncle was start to talk about shamanism as a way of life.
Mm-hmm.
And shamanism as a way of life, you don't have to talk about spirits. You can talk about that it's about reconnecting with nature and feeling that we're not separate from nature, but that we're more one with nature, and that we have a responsibility to caretake this earth and to appreciate the sun coming up every day and appreciate the moon coming up and the beauty of the night sky and the trees and the flowers, and helping people to remember the power of nature, because shamanism is a nature-based practice. And so you can certainly stay away from the word spirits if you just talk about nature, which is a wonderful thing to do. But you also have to understand that shamanism is a practice that works with spirits. And again, I'm going to repeat, if you do not work with helping spirits, you are not practicing shamanism. And so it's how you want to be in your work, how you want to go deeper into your work, and how you want to explain your work. And Renee's suggestion is absolutely, positively brilliant. And so in working with light, and we've done this many times, there's so many ways that you can talk to people about this. I like to talk about stars in the night sky. I love stars, and I love stargazing. And shamans, in shamanism, you turn to the stars, you turn to the moon, the phases of the moon, to know when to do your ceremonies. The stars speak to us. And one of the wonderful things about stars and starlight is that stars don't send their light anywhere. It's not an active process. They don't say, I'm going to send my light to Renee and Sandra today. Stars just shine. They just shine. That's all they do is shine. And you can see little kids when they're in their starlight. And if you have little kids in your family, they do this work really easily. You ask them to dance as a star. And so I like to work with stars as a way to help people to drop into their inner light. I had the amazing opportunity to study Tarot for many years with Angelise Arian, who's deceased now, who also was a brilliant teacher of shamanism. And she was born into the Basque tradition. And one of the sayings in the Basque tradition is that we're all walking stars on a great big giant star Earth. And so I have people just close their eyes, and you can do that right now with me. And I know that most of you do this practice, but let's do it together right now. Let's close our eyes and just imagine ourselves, experience ourselves going down into our solar plexus, traveling down into our body, where we understand that we're more than a body, we're more than a mind, we have a spirit. We use in our culture the term all the time, body, mind, and spirit. But what is spirit? What does spirit mean? Our spirit is a reflection of the Creator, and the Creator is light. And if you don't believe in the Creator, the creative forces of the universe, whatever you believe in, what all that is light. And so let's drop down into our solar plexus, to the home of your spirit, and imagine a star, a beautiful star from the night sky that you love, but that star is inside of you. And that star starts to grow, and it starts to grow, and that light just starts to grow. And you start to feel it fill your organs, and you start to feel it fill your cells, every cell of your being. And you start to feel this amazing inner smile on your face as you understand that you're one with the creative forces of the universe. And you let that starlight just flow, let it dance through your body, absorb it, just like a flower would absorb the sun or the rain, and just let it flow and let it flow throughout the earth, within the earth, everywhere, to the web of life, connecting all of us once again. And just feel the power of that light shining through you. Just feel it flowing, and feel how it brings you back to a place of center and stability, because your spirit never changes. It's always centered. It's always stable. It's never struggling. And just allow that light to fill you up with the power of the starlight of the night sky, and let it flow through you. And as you do this, notice how you feel. And when you feel ready, just allow yourself to come back, but do not disconnect from that light. Do not disconnect from that light, because that light is you. And as you go out into the day today, people will notice that your eyes are shining brighter than they've seen your eyes shine. And that's exactly what your family will see if you do this practice before you enter into your family constellation. And you can use the words that work for you. You might not be able to use the word creator or creative forces of the universe, but you might just be able to say, imagine yourself being a star. Imagine yourself being the sun. Imagine yourself being the light of the moon. And notice, as you let that light flow through your body, how you feel. And do you feel better? And it's really simple. It's a very simple exercise. I have done it with born-again Christians. I've done it with fundamental Christians. I've done it. It's a practice that's done in the Hebrew tradition. So it's something that is understood by many families of the Jewish religion. It's one of the basic practices of Judaism, is that we are the light of the Creator. So try it and practice it for yourself before you go out. And I promise you that you will notice a difference in your conversations, and you will notice a difference with your connections to people. And you'll notice that your fear levels start to go down a bit too as you continue this practice.
That's a beautiful practice. Thank you very much. And for all of those who are listening at home, please share your experiences with this practice, either on our YouTube channel or in our Facebook group, or with each other. I mean, when you fill up with the light, people notice that, and maybe they'd open up with their experience as well. Make sure you follow us again, our request on YouTube. And it is the season for giving. So there's a donation button on our page. So feel free to donate to us. Sandra and I both pay for this, and feel free. We're open for donations. It's December. And we will see you next week.
Bye, everyone.